All right, good evening. Thank you, everybody, for turning out. This is the meeting of Nassau County Interim Finance Authority for November 27th. Just by way of just procedural, we have some committees that have to meet, take actions before the full board considers items. So we have to do that as a procedural matter. So we will start off with the Governance Committee, and the designated chair for the Governance Committee for this evening is Howard Weitzman. Howard, do you want to?
I believe you have to have a vote first to appoint me as chairman?
Yes.
Yes. So does members of the committee approve Howard as the chairman? Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for the confidence you expressed in me, and I hope I can live up to the challenge set by the previous chairman at his last meeting. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of December 7th, 2017. Any comments, changes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining. Well, actually, I was at that meeting. I don't have to abstain. I'll vote in favor. And the second item is the readoption of the self-evaluation form for NIFA directors and the taking of the related actions. This is a form that's recommended by the state in order to self-evaluate the NIFA directors and other state agencies as well. It's an annual exercise that we take. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Vote is unanimous. Is there a motion to end the meeting?
Motion?
Second?
Can
Second?
my members
Yeah,
speak?
yeah.
And then I vote
Second.
yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All against? No. Meeting is closed.
Okay.
Jerry, do you
That
want
was-
to make your presentation anyway? Or we just
Now,
can we enter it into the record as if you had read it?
excuse me, it was my prerogative to go past.
Well exercised, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, now we will move to the Finance Committee meeting, and for that meeting, Paul Eventhal will be the chair. Paul, would you like to go through the
Thank you,
agenda?
Mr. Chairman. First, I would note that we have a quorum. All of the members of the Finance Committee are present, with the single exception of Mr. Annunziato. But since we are meeting with the entire board present, and since the items on the agenda of the Finance Committee will be taken up by the board immediately afterwards, I would invite any board members who want to speak at the Finance Committee meeting to do so as well. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of December 7th, 2018.
Motion to approve?
One
No.
moment, please. What is the date of the meeting, please? It says December
December 7th, 2017.
2017. Thank you. December 7th, 2017. May I have a motion, please?
Motion?
Second?
I have to abstain.
Was that a second?
No, that was an abstention. I was absent.
Okay. Then I will second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention. Please let the record show that the minutes have been adopted. For the next item on our agenda, I'm going to ask Mr. Wise to discuss the tax anticipation notes and the revenue anticipation notes that are before us tonight.
So for all the directors have received backup on the 3 different bond items I'm going to discuss tonight. But the first one that you're voting on is a set of board materials to issue revenue anticipation notes and tax anticipation notes for the county. These are cash flow notes so the county can pay their bills until their taxes and their revenues catch up with what they're paying out. So every year the county issues RANs, revenue anticipation notes, tax anticipation notes. They're doing it again this year. They're raising about $380 million, which is about the same as they raised in past years. Needless to say, if the county had a lot of extra money, they wouldn't have to do this, but this is a very common exercise among municipalities, and staff sees no reason why you shouldn't proceed.
And these are, of course, by their nature short-term because they're going to be paid off when the taxes are collected.
Notes are always, by their definition, a year or less. So yes, they are.
Do they have an expected date when they will pay it off?
They have a series of dates during the year when they'll be paying them off as monies come in they'll pay off these notes on certain dates which are outlined in the materials.
Okay.
Any other questions? In that case, may I have a motion to,
I'll move it.
Second?
all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Please let the record show that the matter was adopted unanimously. For the third item on our agenda, the consideration of the issuance of general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes, I'm going to again turn to Mr. Wise.
The county has asked us for permission to issue approximately $286 million in bonds and bond anticipation notes for capital-related expenses. They've decided to keep some of the borrowing as a ban, which is a short-term note, even though they could have taken the short-term note and rolled it into a long-term note, because their financial advisors and others have recommended that in the end, by issuing notes, it would save the county money. So they're splitting this bond issuance into partially short-term bond anticipation notes and partially into long-term borrowing. And the rationale for doing that in more detail is explained in your materials, which I gave you prior to the meeting.
What are the estimated savings from doing it this way?
Well, the estimated
On
savings.
a present value basis?
On a present value basis over, I think, 30 years. Mark, who's here,
It's
do
11
you
million.
recall the number? 33 million on a present value basis over a 30-year period. What they intend to do is every year keep a certain
Pardon me,
percent.
please. For the record, may I ask the speaker to identify himself, please?
Mark Page, Deputy County Executive for Finance.
Thank you, Mark.
Again, you have the backup material, but the rationalization for this and what the county would like to do is keep issuing a certain amount of short-term notes every year, and they feel they get a better interest rate on borrowing for those notes. As I say, the rationale behind it is somewhat complicated. It's all explained in their material, as well as the recommendation from their financial advisor to do this. I also might add that in terms of the rating agencies have no problem with this as long as it's kept to a limited amount, and the amount that they are issuing is below that amount.
Right, so what is the maximum amount that the county will allow themselves to borrow on a short-term basis like
I
this?
think the county is talking about issuing no more than about 6%.
I think the maximum limit that we
6% of their outstanding bond.
But we would propose to be at about this 200 million level, which is 6 and a fraction percent of the approximately $3 billion in outstanding debt that the county is responsible for.
Right, so it's when we talk about
So it's-
percentage, that's not an interest rate, that's the
Right.
percentage
Of
of the
overall
total
debt
amount of
outstanding.
debt
About
they have
2/3 of it.
outstanding. The rating agencies
Total debt.
usually frown on an entity having no more than 15% of
Correct.
short-term debt outstanding.
Well, I would just ask that we monitor this, and if you see that it gets close to that percentage, please inform the board.
We will, and next year, if I come to you and I ask you for permission for them to issue notes, we'll once again see the percentage relative to their total budget. So just to repeat, the total amount you're authorizing is approximately $286 million. It's comprised of approximately $200 million in bond anticipation notes, which are short-term notes, and the remainder is in longer-term bonds, and they would all be for capital purposes. Once again, the capital purposes are outlined in your material, and they're available to the public.
So just my own clarification, if it will just,
Sure.
of the 286, there's 200 or so that is going to be short-term, is that what I heard?
That's right. But what happened, again, without going into great detail, is when the county was thinking of doing a P3 for the sewage system, they issued short-term notes because they thought that if they sold the sewer system, the new party would take out those notes with the money they gave them. Since they've decided not to do the P3, or at least it's not part of their current plans, they could have taken those short-term notes, which they had outstanding, and rolled them into long-term obligations. Instead, they decided to leave them out long-term short-term, because they felt that the interest rates would be better leaving them short-term.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
Wright, did you have a
thank you.
question?
With your indulgence, thank you for letting the non-committee members speak in this part of the meeting. Jeremy, with the interest rate strategy that it'll save present value $30 million over 30 years. It's not $1 million a year, but it'll average $1 million a year. Are the savings for that strategy already baked into the budget, or do they improve the budget
No, those are accretive to the budget.
So they
The
would
new-
help, if this goes into effect, they're better than the budget we're looking at. So they improve the
As
situation.
far as I know, these are accretive,
However
these will be added to their budget estimates.
Right.
And
Thank you.
again, without going into great detail, because there are a lot of people here who I know aren't familiar with all this, every year they're going to keep a certain amount of
Yeah.
what might be long-term bonds, they're going to keep them out as short-term.
The crux of my question was, what we're being asked to approve here doesn't harm the budget we're looking at.
No, it
It's
actually
either
helps
neutral
their
or
budget.
It's gonna save.
On a
Okay.
present value basis over 30 years,
Right, it's either
it'll
neutral or
save a
bad.
large amount of money.
Fine.
Or $3 million
And the
savings.
technical
Thank you.
details are all attached to your materials with explanations from the financial advisors and with a written explanation from Mark.
Jeremy, I know that the county uses very good financial advisors and has their own staff, but isn't the annual action on rolling over the bands dependent on your outlook for long-term bonds? I mean, what
Yes,
they're
but
basically doing is they're arbitraging the short term over the long term.
Right, it's like many municipalities have variable rate bonds outstanding. The count, which they do because normally, over time, short-term rates are lower than long-term rates. This isn't
But
like.
you have to keep rolling it over.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to keep rolling it over, but instead of.
They won't actually be rolling it over.
They
What they'll
will
be
be
doing is
issuing-
paying them off at the end of the year.
And then the
And
new
next
bonds,
subsequent
Issuing
borrowing.
new.
the
Right,
new
right,
bonds
would be
that we
short.
issue, the new bonds which they would have issued long-term,
Yeah.
they will issue short-term.
It's
And
the
so
economic
on
effect of a
each
rollover.
year.
It's economically a rollover.
They will
Yeah,
keep-
but I
Yeah.
understand,
But the
if
one-year
you're-
rate is typically much lower than the 30-year.
You're right, in a
If
rate.
you're
rising
in a
interest.
rising interest rate environment, it's not, you're better off at some point taking the long-term
Sure.
rate as opposed to just rolling over the.
Yeah,
bands.
well,
Even if interest rates were to go to 8%, the short-term rate would be lower than 8%.
Right, unless you were in a.
The short-term rate would be
Unless it's an
lower.
inverted yield curve.
In which
Evan.
case you have a big problem.
The short-term rate would be lower at the time the long-term rate was 8%.
Right.
But the short-term rate would be a lot higher than it was 2 or 3 years earlier when you made the decision to roll that year.
Right, that's the
No,
issue.
but those were paid off already.
Yeah,
Well, it depends on how you define it.
right.
The
It's economically a
financial,
roll, so you
what
don't-
what you say is
I think,
correct,
I think
except
that's, I
that
think that's an interesting point and something we
if
should be
you
mindful
look
of
at the
going forward.
analysis, it seems somewhat counterintuitive, I understand. If you look at the analysis from PFM that's attached to the materials, and
Yeah.
that's why I asked them for it, they explain how they achieve the
But
present
their
value
analysis,
savings.
obviously, their analysis is based on their outlook for long-term rates.
Yes, so there has to be certain
is
built-in
an estimate,
assumptions
which could change.
that there won't be an inverted yield curve and that rates will continue, that short-term rates will continue to be considerably lower than long-term rates.
That'll happen.
Further questions, please.
I'm not so sure I'd make that gamble, considering where we are with the Fed raising rates, but that's the county's.
All I can say to you is, I was skeptical myself, that's why PFM wrote 2 memos you have attached, and I had Mark write a 3rd memo, which is in your folder there, because I had similar questions and doubts about this. And all I can do is present to you what PFM, which is a national financial advisor, has said that they suggested.
The other question is in terms of what projects these will be financing. Can you just explain a little bit about the due diligence you went through with the county to assure yourself that this is the absolute necessary amount that they need and that there's not a lot of excess?
As always, with their capital projects, we don't tell them which projects specifically they can or cannot do. We approve a certain amount, maximum amount of money, and then let them choose. Sometimes in past years, they've given us an amount of projects which exceed the amount of bonds that we're willing to approve. This year, we tried to work with them so that the projects they list are actually the projects they want to finance with the bonds. So we did a little due diligence. As I say, in the past, sometimes they've had $300 million wish list, and we've only approved 200, and we've said, pick your 200 million favorite projects. Little different this year. But all the projects are listed in your materials with a description of the project, and they've all been approved by the county legislature.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeremy.
I would ask that you communicate to the county, and I know there are county representatives here tonight, some of the concerns that were raised about the use of short-term borrowings in a time of rising interest rates.
I'm sure that Mark would be delighted to give you a detailed technical explanation, but as I say, I think you're well advised to look at what was submitted in writing first. And if necessary, I'll ask him to brief you later
It
on.
should just be reviewed on a regular
Yes,
basis.
yes.
I mean, again, the
If it
premise
works
is,
today.
even in a rising interest rate environment, short-term rates will be lower than long-term.
Unless, as Howard pointed out, you locked in low 2 years ago.
But those have been paid off already.
But that's
But
a
you had-
substance over form issue.
But you have the
Right, you're rolling the
opportunity,
bands. You're
but you
rolling the
have the
bands.
opportunity today to
It's a
take
substance
that
over
money
form issue.
and lock in long-term with that money, but instead are using it.
Right, you could either
As
approve or
short-term borrowing.
reject.
And you got it wrong.
No, I'm not speaking against the issuance of this debt. I'm merely saying that the questions raised have merit and should be explored by the county on an ongoing basis.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe we can get.
Are there any other
Since you
questions?
happen to be good enough to show
Give his
up,
rationale.
can you come down here and give a brief explanation of the logic behind this?
I think it's been provided in the materials. I hear your concern, and we will continue to review what we're doing in light of what you've expressed.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Are there any other questions? If there are no further questions, may I have a motion on the general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes, please?
Motion?
A second, please.
I'll second that.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Please let the record show that the matter is passed unanimously.
Yes.
Uh,
Mr. Wise, I assume that you are,
That was one of the easier ones, now comes the harder one. So the last piece is a request by the county for $100 million of bonding for the payment of cert claims that they already have in their backlog. So the cert claims this money would help pay for cert claims through the end of 2017. The county would like to ask us for more money later on in the year, but what we've said in the materials and what we say in the resolution is, if we pass the $100 million now, we're going to watch and see whether it's well spent, whether it helps to bring down the backlog, whether you've set up the necessary infrastructure for this program. And if that's successful, we'll consider other bonds. So this is, for lack of a better word, a first installment. But I know you want to also make
Yeah,
some
I just want to
comments.
make note for the record that in consideration of approving this resolution, there's a couple of things that we've requested from the county. One was an overall plan as to how they were going to address their assessment issues to make sure that they limit the amount of potential cert claims in the future, and that they have a program in place to do that, and they have a program in place that will allow them to pay for future cert claims out of their operating revenues and expenses budget and not borrow for it. And further, we are going to propose as part of this policy that in allowing borrowing only for backlog cert debts that happened and occurred prior to December 31st, 2017, and that as a policy matter, this board is taking a position today that it will no longer approve or consider any borrowings related to cert claims thereafter. So this would be a way to an end towards borrowing for certs, which we believe will be a path towards getting out from the fiscal control board period that they are currently in. And as Jeremy mentioned, that before we approve any other future tranches, we want to see frequent reporting that will indicate to us that the program as they've outlined is being implemented and executed according to plan. So we will have a full review of that as well. So
I think you had also mentioned to me very briefly before the meeting that you'd like to have monthly reporting from the county as opposed to the quarterly reporting, which is mentioned in the resolution.
And I was going to mention that since the resolution hasn't been presented, I know you've invited us to comment. If the committee could consider it with the word monthly as opposed to quarterly, that would help move it to the final meeting.
I would certainly accept that change.
Great.
so I'll make a motion to amend.
Make a motion to
It's
amend.
friendly at this point. You just
Yes.
move the resolution with that in.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to amend. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
Now you
That was
vote
on the
on-
motion
That
to
was the
amend.
motion to
amend.
amend
Now you
the
vote on the
resolution.
entire,
But
Yes.
then we still have discussion of the resolution. We merely
Yeah.
dealt with Chris's proposed amendment.
you're now voting on the resolution as amended,
Are
when
there,
you're ready.
are there further questions or
Are you
comments?
taking questions from non-committee
Yes,
members?
please, Howard.
Okay. I have a couple of questions on this. The first one is, I guess this is for Mark. In the analysis that we received of the outstanding cert claims, it was based off the capital from 2017. Do you have any reason to believe there's going to be a material difference in the year-end balance for 2018?
Howard, are you inviting Mark Page
Yes,
to respond?
I'm sorry. I thought I was clear about that.
Mr. Page, did you hear Howard?
Perhaps,
Martin's
Mark,
question?
you want to come here so you can be on the video, or if you can turn the camera toward him so it's recorded, please.
Great. Thank you. Yeah.
There are a number of actions we've taken to reduce the liability. How the snapshot as of the end of the 18 fiscal year is going to compare to the cumulative number reflected at the end of 17, I'm not absolutely sure. We are in active negotiation with LIPA over a substantial amount of that is recorded in that 17 number. We are quite confident that there'll be a substantial reduction as a result of that negotiation, but will that have taken place by the end of December? Not certain. I would expect it to happen in the first few months of 19, but maybe not by the snapshot at the end of December.
Mr. Page, I think all of us are aware of the fact that you are negotiating with LIPA. But taking aside that $200 million for the balance of the claims which are due to individuals or businesses, do you feel that that would be consistent with 2017? Will it be a marked increase or decrease?
I would expect it to be about consistent. There might be an increase. I guess a second source for reducing that liability is the balance in the 17 and 18 DAF funds. We have finally achieved the system necessary to move ahead on paying claims from those sources, but it's been slow. We hope to have realized a benefit of about $25 million by the end of this calendar year. There's considerably more balance in those two funds that, again, I would hope we would access certainly in the first half of 19. But again, the timing of the snapshot at the end of December, I'm not sure what the score is going to be.
But you're not expecting an increase, a large increase?
I'm not expecting a large increase. I wouldn't be wholly surprised if there was some increase.
Okay. And Jeremy, I have a question for you. As described by Adam Waterfall,
We are saying today is we'll no longer approve any additional certiorari borrowings for new cert claims that are incurred after 2018.
The end of 2017.
From January 1st.
But that's not binding on any future NIFA board. Any future NIFA board could take an action to reverse that, right?
Yeah, what you can do, you can undo, but it is a
So-
policy of the board as of this point.
As of this point.
It's the
I think it's-
policy of this board as of tonight.
Right.
As of tonight, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Further questions?
If you, may I?
Please.
So Jeremy, I know we received the analysis, and I want to thank the county for providing that because it actually clarified a lot of matters for me. And just would point out that the reason that I asked for the addition of the monthly notion instead of the quarterlies, that the county has indicated that they might want to borrow early next year, the next round, and we wouldn't even have had a quarter go by between then and now, so that would seem odd. Secondly, I think it was clear from the analysis that we got that the first $100 million is pretty easy to identify. And even a good bit of the next 100, but not even all of the next 100. And then the remainder is a bit more of an estimate. And so I think the county, just so that we're on the record here, shouldn't expect us to approve the next 100 that easily either. I don't know how much work you're gonna be able to do to get from not even that whole 100 million being concrete to getting NIFA approval early next year. I don't wanna say I wouldn't hold my breath, but I wouldn't plan on any less rigorous question and answer period than you had for this 100, for the next 100 or the 100 after that. All right, thank you.
I would expect that. Thank you.
I mean, this is, if I may just add a little color, and of course there are many people who don't understand what's going on, but the money is to help get rid of back claims.
Right.
But we've urged the county to adopt a holistic approach
Yes.
to solving the entire cert problem. It's not just a question of paying off certs, it's creating the back office to deal with new certs, it's creating proper assessments, it's hiring the correct personnel. All those kind of issues need to be put in place and working properly before we think of giving them additional money to help with the back.
It's so that this is the first 100 million of the last 300 million, not the first 100 million of the next 300 million.
That's correct.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Further questions, please?
Nope.
In that case, may I have a motion to move the matter, please?
Motion?
A second, please.
Second.
All in favor of this resolution as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Please let the record show that the matter is passed unanimously. May I have a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting, please?
Motion?
Second, please. May I have a second to that motion to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting, please?
Oh, second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Please let the record show that the Finance Committee meeting has been closed unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. So now we'll move to the regular portion of the meeting, the full meeting of the directors of Nassau County Interim Finance Authority for Tuesday, November 27th, 2018. And the first item we will consider is the approval of the minutes of October 16th, 2018.
I move the approval of the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, which I think is the reason people are here,
Make it easier for you.
is the consideration of E&A restoration contract.
Mr.
And-
Chairman, since I moved to table it at the last meeting, I move that we take it off the table and consider it for approval.
Second.
Discuss.
Yep, okay.
So,
No,
ENA,
I've made the motion to consider for approval and take it off all at the same time, unless you want to vote on the untabling. You good with that?
I'd rather just untable it.
Motion to untable, I'll make the second motion right after that.
Sure.
With a follow-on motion that we approve it.
Just take a vote on untable.
Chris, I
Okay.
seconded the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I
Now we
move that we
consider.
approve the
Motion to
contract.
untable.
Motion to untable passed. I move that we approve the contract.
Second.
Okay.
the contract is ENA restoration. It's in the amount of 43 million, and as we said before, this item was tabled on the October 16 meeting. The contract will be funded with capital proceeds. The borrowing for this project has been approved by the county legislature, and it's included in the list that the county is submitting to NIFA for approval tonight. Since the last October meeting, the county submitted the current costs incurred while the academy is run out of the Hawthorne School in the Massapequa School District, and the projected cost for the new academy. The county has also submitted the justification as of why the academy cannot be run out of the Suffolk County Police Academy. A summary of both memos was submitted to the board previous to this meeting. I would like to indicate that the expenses for the new academy and the debt service are both included in the out years in the multi-year plan.
Mr. Chairman, as the person who moved to table it because of the concerns we had, I would point out that those concerns have been addressed by the information that's provided to us by the county. It's important to note that it is in the budget, and we're gonna take action on the budget later, and so I will support the motion.
I would also just like to thank all of the people who've come down to express their opinion on this matter that's before us tonight.
Okay, is there a,
I
So you
move
have
Is the motion-
a motion and a second.
It's been made and
I believe.
seconded, yeah.
Okay.
okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. I know, right.
I would observe,
First time I've been.
Mr. Chairman, though, that in the future, it'll be easier to get them approved at the meeting they're presented if we get the information when we ask for it in a timely and equitable fashion, which is all we were waiting on, so
Yep.
thank you. Thank you for coming out.
Agree. And if anybody wants to take a minute to leave, since this is where you came, we would.
graders back to Manhattan, so they gotta go.
It's
Okay.
bedtime, it's bedtime.
So
It's a school night, it's a school night.
we'll allow, a few minutes for people to leave if they need to leave now,
Yeah.
before we consider next item.
That was a school night, we should have taken this election.
Okay, we can go back to our,
You know what, where did you find out how much we paid for?
we'll go back to our regularly scheduled program. We can go back to being bad guys now?
Rudolph. is on
Okay,
at 8.
yeah, right.
By the way, Rudolph is
I
on
don't
at
know
8,
that.
so get home
Yeah.
quickly.
I don't know that.
CBS.
I'm sure guys will. Just whenever-
Okay, the next item on the agenda is consideration of county contract for Wellsback Electric Corp., Long Island.
Where's all the people?
I'll move the approval.
Second.
Okay, this contract is for the maintenance and repair of the 1,600+ traffic lights, new signals, and miscellaneous devices on the county property. The contract is with the Department of Public Works. The period for the contract, the period that this contract covers is from 2019 through 2020, and the amount is $8 million. The breakdown of the fund is as follows: $6 million out of operating funds, $3 million in each year, and $2 million out of capital fund. The capital project for this contract has sufficient funding, therefore the capital portion does not require approval from the NIFA directors. The operating funds are included in the 2019 budget and the out years.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is for the approval of Nassau County's multi-year financial plan for fiscal.
I'm sorry, there's one more contract.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We'll consider the county contract for WSP USA.
I'll move its approval.
Second.
Okay, this contract is for work on the project to divert treated effluent from Bay Park Sewer Treatment Plant to the Cedar Creek plant and combine both plants' effluent for discharge through the existing outfall pipe by repurposing an existing pipe that runs along Sunrise Highway. The value of the contract is $13.8 million, and it includes a contingency of $3.2 million. The term of the contract is 6 years from execution with an option of renewal for additional 2 years. The funding source is capital funding. The county is utilizing an Environmental Facility Corporation loan. This loan was awarded through the Storm Mitigation Loan Program, and under the program, the county is awarded with a 25 principal forgiveness.
If I may, question.
Sure.
The 13 million then covers the cost of piping it from Bay Park up to Sunrise, and then from Sunrise back down to Cedar Creek, or is this for a first phase?
30% design phase, Ken Auto Public Works.
Okay, so Ken, thank you, Ken.
Is any of this FEMA funded, or is this all just through the EFC? It's the only,
It's all EFC, right?
Yes, this phase of work is all EFC.
Okay.
Yes.
But a quarter is forgiven, that's how it works?
I'm
plus
sorry?
a subsidized interest rate, right?
25%.
Principal forgiveness on the long-term loan, 25%.
Okay.
Okay, so 13 becomes whatever, and that'll roll into the other projects,
Yeah.
just assume it's gonna cost a lot more than that to run pipes,
A little
ultimately,
bit more, yeah.
you think, right?
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Now we can get to the more important stuff, is the approval of the Nassau County's multi-year financial plan for fiscal 2019 to 2022. Evan, do you wanna?
Sure.
I mean, I guess, the only thing we would just note here is that, the last meeting, we did consider and review, the analysis provided by the staff for the, budget that was presented by the county executive to the legislature. That budget had modifications, made by the legislature that went to the county executive, which was vetoed. The veto was not overridden, so just for sake of clarity, this is basically the same budget that we initially looked at our last meeting, for which staff has written the report on, so nothing has really changed significantly. The risks, I believe, are still in the neighborhood of 59 million, but Evan, any other changes that you want to discuss that have occurred between now and then?
No, if
Question.
our assessment of risks still remain $59 million, similar to the out-year risks that we had identified in our report in October. So I didn't think there's a need to go rehash what had already been presented.
Yeah. I think, Evan, you had shared with us at some point in the pre-veto era that even the amendments themselves wouldn't have materially moved our view on risks.
That's correct.
Because they weren't in sum total. I mean, even the opening of precincts was a $1.6 to $2 million item on a $3 billion budget. So
It's more of a policy
it was
issue.
more of a policy issue than any of them were substantial financial issues.
Sure.
So the administration will obviously need to manage these risks and any others that may arise during the year, and diligently advance its tax property assessment reforms, including its plan to address the significant certiorari backlog, which was discussed at the Finance Committee. Now, I just want to remind the board that the last time of the $59 million in risks, I want to note that did not include a projection of any additional costs that may result from collective bargaining, nor does it include unbudgeted tax certiorari refunds that may exceed what was budgeted in the 2019 budget.
Right.
Has there been any update on the risks associated with the OTP payments?
Right, that was 20% of the total.
No, we're still carrying that at 10 million out of the 20 million
Okay.
Risk. But despite these findings, the size of the risks are the lowest that we've assessed in several years, and leads us to recommend to the directors that you consider approving the 2019 budget and multi-year plan, and allow the county's elected officials to develop and execute solutions to manage these risks.
I will move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second. Evan, I have a question. The debt service on the certiorari refunds that we partially approved tonight and
Yes.
that the county is planning on in the next years, is that included in the current budget and the multi-year plan?
That's not only is the 100 million included, all 300 million is
That's what,
included.
well, it has to,
Yeah, so it's neutral or better.
okay.
Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. The next items on the agenda are the ones that were previously considered during the Finance Committee, so I think we can move through those very quickly. The first is the approval of tax anticipation notes and revenue anticipation notes borrowing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next item is the consideration and issuance of general obligation bonds and bands by
Move it.
Nassau County.
You moved it.
Any second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Last item is the consideration and issuance of general obligation bonds by the county. Is there a motion?
Motion?
So moved. Second.
As amended.
As amended, thank you.
Right, well, as
Thank
well,
you.
we're taking it as
Yeah.
it came to us from the Finance Committee, so as marked.
Okay.
Right.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move to adjourn, are we going to executive session?
Yeah, we're gonna make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to
Move to adjourn.
105 of the Public Authors Law to consider matters that may potentially lead to litigation. So for the sake of the people who are here, we're going to have executive session, then we're going to come back and adjourn. We won't be taking any other business since then, so if people want to leave, by all means, feel free to do so. You won't be missing anything. Thank you. Okay, we are coming back from executive session, and just want to state that there were no actions taken in executive session, and I would therefore entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night.
Good night, guys. And we'll see you